Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Jay, driving around in my car. Hope you can hear it through the speakers. You know, this Bluetooth is always kind of a pain in the ass and never connects well and then disconnects. Anyway, we've had this podcast, Caneo Valley Advice Givers podcast, for a long time now. It's back in, I want to say January 2016. January 28th, 2016. I think it's the exact date, something like that. And we've had 120 episodes so far. We got another 5 in the can, so we're at 125, and it's been fantastic and amazing, and interviewing and learning from people that are, in our community, to have businesses, charitable causes, fun things that they're doing in the world. And I've been super impressed every time. And it's everybody that ranges from chiropractors to doing alternative medicine to lenders, real estate. Since we're in real estate, we got a few of them sprinkled in, and then we have even we're airing in the next week or two, which I want to talk about in a second, a medium, like a psychic medium, which is really cool. Because I remember as a kid, I used to hang out when I was 12, 13 years old at this little shop. I don't know if any of you know this shop in the valley. They have a few of them, and it was called the Psychic Eye Bookshop, where it was all this really cool kind of crystals and Ouija board stuff. I don't want to say Ouija board. I don't think there were Ouija boards there because that's game stuff. But there was all that kind of stuff. I learned about Dan Millman, which wrote the Peaceful Warrior book. If any of you have read that, and which I still have and read, actually. I read it once a year. And so anyway, as I digress, it made me start thinking about that podcast. And it's been great. We've formed amazing relationships. And a lot of people that have been on that show are actually members of our charitable giving club, Impact Club. And they're part of us. They're part of me. I'm part of them. It's really a really nice community that we've kind of built through the podcast show, and I love it. And I love them for being on it, sharing their story, and we keep pushing out their story time and time again. I have Brittany, who helps out and puts on Facebook and Instagram to reshares their story again, because they're so important to hear again. And you may have heard it, somebody you liked a year and a half ago, and you forgot about them, and now you're back interested again, and I want to make sure that they get heard and their story keeps getting heard over and over again. But this episode is, I'm actually temporarily delaying it because the podcast for the medium got screwed up, and the file itself is so shitty that I'm having it rebuilt, and we're not going to re-record. It's being rebuilt. The audio is just all screwed up. So that's going to be delayed probably at least a week. So the Caneo podcast is delayed at least a week, maybe 2, because we have some technical errors going on, and it's really kind of distressing a little bit. It's a lot of work to do those, but we'll get it figured out. But I wanted to throw this out at you guys also. We're also want to kind of announce a little thing too, which I'll probably announce a little later, more formally. But I'm just now starting to kind of noodle the idea of another podcast show, different, not guests related. The Caneo podcast will always be there to spotlight the guests that I love, but more of a kind of 5-10 minute kind of spurt of thought. I get a lot of emails and messages from people sometimes, and Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, about things that help them live their life, and totally outside real estate, totally outside all that crap that we do for a living. It's irrelevant. It's more of what people get from some of the stories we tell. And I love being there to help people with stuff. Maybe it's my psych degree from the past that I never used, or I don't really know. But it's 5-10 minute spurts of kind of what's going on, what we're thinking about, things that I'm kind of really shocked with, that have helped me move forward, helped me kind of out of sadness, helped me with my kids getting older, just life stuff, regular life stuff that we all kind of deal with in one respect or another. And I'd love to be able to share some of those with you. I do it via story and via email and our newsletter and all that, but I'd love to be able to do it in another form. So we're kind of talking about putting that together in the next month or two, and so look out for that. It's going to be, actually, that should be pretty fun. Really easy to listen to too. They're 5 to 10 minutes maximum, and you just kind of roll through. And my goal is to be real helpful as best as I can. Anyway, I want to shoot that out to you. Sorry about today's episode. We'll be back with you next week or the week after, once we get all this technical crap figured out. What's funny, by the way, as a side note, before I leave you, is there's so many great things about Apple, right? Apple, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. It's fantastic. It's great. Even though I have a Samsung phone, I still have a MacBook. What's interesting about it, though, is that they have such a lockdown control on things, especially with iTunes. You know, when we submit the podcast. There's a whole approval process and getting it approved for iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio and all the podcast, places. And iTunes is no exception. And iTunes is really intense. And so all of a sudden they pulled my show, new episodes being able to load up to it. And I believe it's because we had the explicit setting on, because sometimes every now and then a shit comes out or something comes out, and they get a little touchy with that. So something happened where I think it was there was something, a curse word or something, and the explicit setting wasn't set right. It's like auto set to something else, and it totally pulled the show. And that's part of what's going on too. I had the same problem with Spotify with new episodes. So anyway, thanks for bearing with me. Apple does have a lockdown. They're fantastic, but it's interesting how they kind of just shut it down. And you can't call Apple, right? You can't go 1-800-APPLE help and they all of a sudden answer the phone and turn it on for you. It's like a day or a week to get a response to your email. Anyway, thanks for the patience, guys, and I will talk to you later. Look forward to maybe helping you out in the future with this new show, potentially. I'll keep you up to date on that, and keep rocking. See ya.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.